Hello everyone and welcome back to Beatley Tone's Beatles channel. Lovely to have you here. Thanks for joining me for this video and I hope you're all doing well. Now in today's video I'm going to be talking about the insane pricing of Paul McCartney's Got Back 2025 tour of North America, and I'm going to be going quite deep into this. I'm going to be looking at the primary players in the pricing process, who they are and what they do. We'll be talking about dynamic pricing. We're going to be looking at the seat maps of venues today, Friday the 25th of July, see what's left, what the prices are. We'll be looking at the primary seller, Ticketmaster, and we'll be also looking at one of the scalper sites, or tout sites as we call them here in the UK, StubHub. So we're going to be looking at those and comparing the prices between Ticketmaster and StubHub, and we're also going to be having a little go at seeing if we could, what could be done to avoid this ridiculous, outrageous pricing regime that is taking place. And it's not just Paul McCartney, A-lister bands and artists. How this could be avoided, I don't know. If there will be another Paul McCartney tour, there might not be, but if there was one, what can be done to avoid this? We'll have a go. It won't be perfect, of course it won't, because there's no perfect answer to this, but we'll have a little go at it and see whether it's got any legs. I've always wanted to see Paul at Madison Square Garden. When the dates and the venues were announced, it was clear that Paul was going to cities that he didn't play at during the 2022 leg of the Got Back tour, and he did play New York on that tour, so New York wasn't going to be on the agenda. He also played 3 gigs at the Bowery Ballroom in New York earlier in the year, so New York was definitely off the cards. And got together, with my friends, as I said, to plan how we were going to get these tickets. There was a lot of strategy. I'm not going to talk about the drama and the shambles of actually getting the tickets. I'm just going to give you a brief outline of what went on. Most of the friends in my group live on that side of the Atlantic, and we had the benefit of having our friend Joan in the group, who is a veteran of 101 Paul McCartney shows, going right back to 1976. She was able to coach us in the strategy and how we would go about it, and we were all on a WhatsApp call during the pre-sale, and we all got into the seating plan to buy the tickets at different times, so we were each able to advise the others on the call. So that was a big benefit that we could all talk to each other. Now, so when I realised that New York wasn't on the agenda, my next favourite venue was going to be Montreal in Canada, and all the guys agreed that they would like to go to Canada. I've never been to Canada, some of them have never been to Canada, so that was a good one. So that was one reason why I was very keen to go to Montreal. The other reason was that I wanted to go to a venue where he was doing 2 shows, because I'm coming over from the UK. It's a long way to come for one gig. I wanted to do 2 shows. There was Montreal, there was Chicago, which I'm going to in a couple of weeks for the Fest for Beatles fans, so I didn't really want to go there again. And the other one, I think, was Atlanta as well, and I don't think I could do the dates. So Montreal was the favourite. So we all agreed that was going to be our primary target. That was the priority gig, and that was the one we were going to go for first. We all know about scalpers, or tout as we call them here in the UK, the scalper sites, and touting's not a new thing. It's always existed. I mean, when I used to go gigs in the 70s and 80s, before the internet, you would actually have real life touts standing outside the tube station when you arrived at the venue. Who needs tickets? Do you want a ticket, mate? Do you need a ticket, mate? Selling tickets on the street in the UK is illegal at inflated prices. It's illegal. So we got them at concerts. We used to get them at, you know, football matches, get them at Wimbledon, that sort of thing. You know, tennis tournament, Wimbledon, at football matches. The place would be teeming with coppers to say it's illegal. You don't get police at gigs very often, or certainly not many of them. But at football matches, you would get it would be you couldn't move for coppers. And so you know you could be, you know, someone could be doing a deal with a tout, and suddenly a copper is walking towards him, and the tout is off, he's scarpered, he's gone. So you're in the middle of doing a deal, and he's gone. You know, he's got a big wad of tickets in his hand, and he's off. These days with the internet, touting sites are plenty, and you know they seem to be legal. These days. There are certain rules that they have to abide by, and I'll be going into that when I talk about those sites in the video. I have done quite a lot of research, and so the experience that we had, you'll be hearing this first hand. As I say, I have done you know, quite a bit of research on this, so you'll be able to see how and why the tickets are like that. Now, the first choice for all of us in the group for tickets for Montreal was to try and get the Hot Sound VIP package. If you don't know what that includes, firstly, you're guaranteed seats in the first 8 rows right at the front, so really close to the stage. You also get an invite to watch the band do the sound check, and that is something to behold as well, especially if you've not done it before, because you know, Paul and the band, they do a sound check for about an hour. They play about 12 to 15 songs, most of which are not included in the set, or do a couple that are in the set, but most of them are not. So it's kind of like getting you know, 2 gigs for the price of 1. Although when we saw the prices of the Hot Sound tickets, it was more like getting 2 gigs for the price of 5 or 6. Also included in the package is a great big bag of merch, and it's exclusive merch for VIP you know, fans, because the stuff is not available on the merch stalls in the arena. And you also get a bit of hospitality as well, bit of food, bit of booze as well, you know, before the gig. So that's what is included in the Hot Sound package. So when we got in the queue, I was about 7,800th in the queue. Some of the group were ahead of me, some were behind. We're still on our WhatsApp call where everyone's telling each other where they are in the queue. And when we got into the area, the seat map area where you choose your tickets and you pay for your tickets, you know, we already knew what the price was, you know, because you know other people had got into the you know, that area before I did, and you know, we were all horrified by the price. You know, Joan is an experienced Macca gig goer, and she told us what to expect. She said she estimated that it would be around $1,500 for these hot sound tickets. When we actually found out what the prices were in Canadian dollars, they were just shy of 3,800 Canadian dollars. US dollar equivalent, just shy of $2,800. In sterling, that was £2,050. Just absolutely horrendous prices. When I heard that price, I was out. Andy was out as well for the Hot Sound, probably because we're both going with our partners, so we would have had to buy 2 of those tickets for 2 nights. It just wasn't doable for me. So I had to look around the other areas in the arena, including the nosebleeds, but eventually plumped for row 12 on the floor. It was still a VIP ticket, but a lower grade VIP ticket. So, still got a good seat, 12 rows from the front. It's not that far, but I don't get to see the sound check. I do get the bag of merch, and I don't get the hospitality, which I'm not really bothered about the hospitality. Others in the group, they did get the Hot Sound tickets, and that's fantastic. I'm really pleased for them. They have a great time. It's a great way to see the show, and they can tell us all about the sound check in between when they come out of the sound check and before we go into the main show. But the tickets that I bought, they were about half the price of Hot Sound tickets. I'm not happy. I'm not happy about the price. I'm very happy with the seats that I've got. Not happy about the price. And if you can smell that, that is the faint whiff of shame. I'm a little bit ashamed that I've spent that much money on a concert. It's the most I've ever paid to go to a gig. There are other factors as well. I don't know if this is going to be the last chance that I'm going to get to see Paul live. I don't know if he's going to do gigs in the near future. It could be the last chance. You know, he's 83 years old now, and to be honest, once you pay for the tickets, you kind of put it to your back of your mind. You forget about it. And you start looking forward to the shows. We're going in a group. You know, we're going to have a few days in Montreal, and you know, we're going to see Paul twice, and we're going to have a laugh. It's going to be great. So we're really looking forward to it. You know, Joan. You know, so Joan goes to a lot of gigs, and she has got tickets for other gigs, and she said that the Canadian concerts were the most expensive on the tour. She's got tickets for various venues, you know, in the United States, and they're not as expensive as they were in Canada. But just to give you some sort of comparison, £2,050 for Hot Sound in Montreal. I did get Hot Sound tickets at the O2 in London back in December. Only 7 months ago, the tickets for that was £750. Now, that is not small potatoes. At that time, it was the most I'd ever paid to go to a gig. But it was brilliant. It was brilliant. A fantastic way to see the show. We had great seats. We went to the sound check. It was fantastic. Don't regret it at all. And, you know, no regrets, no tears. It's done, and we're going. But these prices cannot continue. £2,050 now, £750 just 7 months ago. That's a hike of £1,300, and you know, that's mental. That is. I can see that's what you're saying. You're saying you're mental. What are you doing? What are you doing? But you know, it's my money, and I've got to do what I've got to do, and that's how it is for us. So there have been a few videos on YouTube where people have been talking about these outrageous prices for the tickets, but none of them really nailed it properly, because none of them were actually in the pre-sale, and they're checking things after the fact. The first one that I saw was Matt Williams from the Pop Goes My Credibility channel, and you know, he's got an agenda. He's a Beatles fan, but he doesn't like the solo Beatles. He doesn't like Paul, and he really doesn't like Paul McCartney fans, and wants to show them in a bad light, as if we're all idiots. So he chose to demonstrate the outrageous pricing by going to a scalper site, a little known scalper site, and picking out the most expensive ticket that he could find, which was $45,000. $45,000. Who is going to pay that? And you know, if you look at the graphic, you can see that the ticket that he's picked out is not even hasn't got a seat number. It hasn't got a seat number. So this company don't even have the ticket. What you would be buying if you bought this would be a kind of promissory note, a promise to deliver a ticket on the floor in block 2, which is the centre, in row 1, and you know, but they can't give you a seat number because they don't have the ticket. So it's not a real example. It's not a great example of what you would pay. And no McCartney fan is going to pay $45,000 for a ticket. Why would they? When they can go onto the primary site and buy that exact same ticket for 91% cheaper? They would pick it up probably for about $4,000 or you know, from a scalper site, and even less from the official site. People that might pay that, maybe corporations, would they pay that sort of money? You know, if you're you know, a big wig in one of these investment banks, or, you know, a partner in a law firm, and you're, you know, taking a client out for you know, a treat to try and win their business, and you might be trying to do a deal that's worth several $1 million, then 45,000 is a bit of a drop in the ocean, if you know, if you manage to secure that business. But again, why would you pay that when you can buy it so much cheaper on the original site, and have a proper seat, and have a seat number? So I'm not really sure what was going on. I saw another one by another channel where they just saw Matt's video and just repeated what he said without doing any fact checking either. I thought Joe Mayo did a good video on this because he acknowledged that other people were talking about these ticket prices, but not they're going to scalper sites. They're not going through the official source, where obviously the tickets were so much cheaper, but still really expensive. So you know, that is a bit of a strange one. You know, people do have agendas, and they wanna make their point by giving incorrect information. So how do we end up with such huge prices for these concert tickets? And this is where a little bit of research has had to come in, because I wanted to find out who were the main players in setting the prices for these tickets. And basically, the main player is the event organizer, and that is a combination of all the people that are involved in getting this tour off the ground. The event organizer, this is the entity that's responsible for the concert, whether it's the artist, their management, the venue, or the promoter, and these set the initial prices. Let's talk about the artist and the management. The artist and their team often have a significant influence on the price, especially for popular artists. So we're talking about A-listers here, people who can pretty much charge what they want, and of course Paul McCartney is one of those. And I'm guessing, you know, how it works is, you know, Paul will say, I want to go out on tour, and I want to visit this country, and I want to visit that country, go and organise it. You know, you don't have a management team, you don't have a dog and bark yourself. You know, he has people that does this for him, and the management team, they go out and they speak to venues and they speak to promoters, and you know, they work out the costs, and they come back to him and say, well, we think it's going to be, you know, for this venue it's going to cost this much. Do you approve or don't you approve? Maybe that happens. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't get involved at all. I don't know, because I say you don't have a dog and bite yourself. If they say that's the price, then that's the price. But I'll come to that in a minute. You know, because you know, Paul has got he's got more money than he could spend in 1,000 lifetimes. So just say Paul's cut of a ticket price is, say, 50 or 60%, you know, because other people have got paid. Now, no one expects Paul to go halfway around the world and play a 3-hour show for nothing. He's got to be paid. But would it make any difference to him if, say, the price was 60%? Would it really make any difference if he took 30% instead of 60%, or 40% instead of 60%, and brought the price of the ticket down? You know, he is partially accountable for the prices of these tickets, but he is obviously being advised by his management team. The promoters are often involved in organising the event. They also play a role in setting the prices, considering factors like venue costs, production expenses, and estimated ticket sales. Now, we get it. When Paul goes out on tour, it is a huge show, and on this particular tour, he's not playing auditoriums. Like, for example, when he plays the O2 in London, that is a concert venue. It already has a stage there. When you're playing sports arenas, which is what he's doing mostly on this tour, they don't have a stage at one end of the pitch. So the stage has to be built. Now, I can remember going to see him in Verona in Italy in 2013, where he played the amphitheatre in Verona, and the amphitheatre was, you know, just open to the general public. You could just go in during the day and just walk around it for free, because, you know, there's not much to see in there. You're in there for 10 minutes and you're out again. But when we were there, you know, we used to go out for the day. At the end of the day, our hotel was right near the amphitheatre, and we used to go into the amphitheatre just see how they were getting on building the stage. And they were building that stage for 3 days. So when you're talking about building a stage, you're not just hiring a venue just for one night of the concert, because you've got to get there a couple of days before the concert, you know, to build the stage. And it's, you know, it's a huge set, you know, with video screens and all that sort of technology. You know, it takes time to do. And on this particular tour, you know, he's only doing 3 venues where he's playing, you know, more than one night at a venue, and even then he's only playing 2 maximum. So, you know, every few days the stage has got to be taken down, and he's got a huge crew to do this for him, but they've all got to be paid. The venue has got to be paid. I imagine that the venue is a fixed price, and, you know, you want to hire this venue for 3 days, then it's going to cost you this much, whether you sell out all your tickets or not. That is the price. And you know, promoters have got to be paid. You know, he's got a crack band, they've got to be paid. He's got a horn section, they've got to be paid. There is a huge cost involved in putting a show like this together. He plays for 3 hours, all the roadies as well, and all that, the part of the team. And then you've got Ticketmaster, or whoever the selling platform is. And when we're talking about Ticketmaster, it says that Ticketmaster, whilst they don't set the base price, Ticketmaster might work with the event organizer to determine the price of certain types of tickets, like the hot sound thing, or implement dynamic pricing strategies, and we'll come to that. Dynamic pricing was first introduced by Ticketmaster in 2022, and they say on their website that they don't take a cut of any price hikes on the ticket price. It goes to the artist. Now, if you don't know what dynamic pricing is, it's implemented by Ticketmaster. It's automatically implemented based on the demand for tickets. So if the algorithm sees that there's lots of people in the waiting room waiting to buy tickets, then the price can go up in real time. So people that get in early, and I'm talking about really early, probably pay the face value, and after that the price can go up. Now, presumably, if the demand is low, maybe the price would go down. I don't know. I've never seen it go down, but presumably, they'd rather sell tickets at a lower price than not sell them at all. So that could happen. Now, they say that the point of it, Ticketmaster say that the point of it is that it's to stop the scalpers. So basically, the rises in dynamic pricing, the extra money that's made go to the artist and not to the scalpers. And on the face of it, that is a good thing. The artist deserves to get, they're the ones that are doing all the work, and the scalpers are just parasites that are just selling tickets on their website for inflated prices. But at the end of the day, it's all very well saying that the artist gets the money, but it's still the fans that are paying for it. We're paying for it, whether we're paying it to scalpers or we're paying it to the artist via dynamic pricing. So that doesn't really work. Now, artists that have used it, or A-list artists that have used dynamic pricing in the past, people like Harry Styles, Bruce Springsteen, Oasis used it on the UK leg of the world tour, and there was such a furore about it from fans that when it came to selling tickets for the US leg of their world tour, they opted out. And I just wonder whether, does anyone ask Paul whether he wants to opt in or opt out, or do the management team make that decision for him? But if they do, then maybe there's another possibility for Paul to get involved and say, I don't want dynamic pricing. But you know, if he does that, then more of that inflated prices is going to go to scalpers. So you can understand why he wouldn't opt out of it. But we do know that Taylor Swift did get involved in her Eras tour and said that dynamic pricing, she didn't want it because, you know, I can imagine her actually getting involved because she knows, you know, her audience are mostly kids. They're kids, and they're probably having to go with their parents, and then maybe families are buying four tickets, and they don't want to pay for dynamic pricing. Another band that use it is Coldplay, and presumably there is now a premium on Coldplay tickets if you want to sit in an area that isn't covered by the Kiss Cam. But dynamic pricing is not something that's a new thing, and it's not exclusive to to concert tickets. We've seen dynamic pricing in something like, you know, for years on, you know, airline tickets, for example. They're more expensive in school holidays or when there's other high demand. You even see it on things like Amazon. You see it on things like Amazon. I can remember when I was doing my Beatley Tone Beatles bargains videos, and people, you know, might only have been about 10 people has alerted the algorithm on Amazon that you know there's suddenly a surge on this particular item. We better put the price up. So, you know, we've seen it. You know, you see it on hotel rooms when there's an event in a certain city. You know, prices go up to when there's not an event. So it's not a new thing, and that is dynamic pricing. And now I can say that when I talked to my group before starting this video, I asked them if anyone had seen the prices go up while they were actually in the room, because I didn't when I was in there, and I was, as I said earlier, I was flipping about from this seat to that seat to this seat to that seat. I was probably in the room maybe about 15-20 minutes. I didn't see the prices change at all. So I don't know whether there is dynamic pricing on Paul's tickets or not, to be absolutely honest, but maybe someone that was in later, if there's someone watching this video that was in, you know, later on, maybe they can tell me down in the comments. But that's the story on dynamic pricing. You know, so Paul could opt out if he wanted to. Okay, so now let's go and have a look at the seat maps, how they stand today now that the pre-sale and the general sale are over. I'm going to use the Montreal venue because I'm more familiar with the seat prices at that venue, because I spent 15-20 minutes in the room looking at all different prices. So we're going to do that. You might want to expand your video to full screen for this, because it's quite small, so you might not be able to see it properly. So just expand your video to full screen. So this is the seat map for Montreal. This is night 2. If we close in on it, move this over a little bit, we can see that there are loads of tickets left, hundreds of tickets left. Now the colours here are important. If we close in a little bit, you can see it better. These ones with the yellow stars, these are the hot sound seats, and the price there in Canadian dollars, $3,850. That hasn't changed, so that hasn't been affected, you know, by dynamic pricing. It's still the same price as it was on the pre-sale date, and you know, that is because, you know, the pre-sale, the general sale have already happened. So, you know, there's not a huge amount of people in there right at this moment looking for tickets. The blue dots here, these are the official Ticketmaster face value tickets, and we've got price there 1520 Canadian dollars there. But these pink ones, the pink ones are all resale sites. So although Ticketmaster don't say, they're not taking any cut on dynamic pricing, it's going to the artist, they are taking a cut from reselling sites, you know, scalper sites that are, and there's hundreds of them. If you zoom out, look how many pink tickets there are there. how many pink seats there are there, all over the place, loads of them. Hardly any official Ticketmaster tickets there, the blue ones, still quite a few hot sale ones there. And let's have a look now. Let's see the difference in the price. So if we go to this row here, there's only one row between them. If we look at the Ticketmaster price there, it's 1520.70. Just for one row behind, it's 3,091 Canadian dollars. So huge increase between that 1520 and 3091. This is, you buy these through Ticketmaster. I'm not sure if it takes you a link to the official reseller, but it lets you know that it's a resale ticket, and that's the difference in price. And if we just go to this area here where it's all resale tickets. Now these tickets here, let's just go into that a bit closer. These tickets here, if you look at where that is, this is the stage, and all these tickets here, look where they are in comparison with the stage. Now if we click on one of these seats here, this information here tells you that this is an obstructed view ticket, because it's there, and it's the video screens are going to be here. You're probably not going to be able to see the video screens. Paul is going to be around here, so you're going to be looking at the back of his head. You would get a good view of him when he comes over to this area here, when he's on the grand piano. But the restricted view, firstly, because you're looking at the band are kind of along here, with maybe Abe there and the video screens there. But you've also got the PA stacks as well. Now we don't know at this venue whether they're going to be suspended from the ceiling or they're going to be built up from the ground up, and if they're built up from the ground up, then you're not going to see very much in these seats here. Now how much are these? These are 539 Canadian dollars, which is just crazy for restricted view. If we go to the back of the stadium, there's only one ticket there in the nosebleeds there in the third tier. Again, they're all resale tickets. 716 Canadian dollars for those tickets right at the back. So that is the situation with Ticketmaster. So many of these tickets are being distributed to secondary sellers or third party sellers. So this is the seat map for Montreal from SeatGeek. I did look at StubHub, but it didn't give me the right seat, so I couldn't do really a proper comparison. But if we go here, first of all, here we've got a front row seat there, right bang in the middle. There's 4 seats available, and we've got here that seat there is 12,122 Canadian dollars, and so nowhere near the 45,000 that Matt Williamson was quoting on his video. Admittedly, he was looking at Chicago. This is Montreal, but the seat is similar, and 12,122. Horrendous price. That is about not that far shy of 9,000 US dollars, but a lot less than 45,000. And if we go to our restricted view seats here, I think on the Ticketmaster site, I think we were looking around this area. There was a restricted view seat for 512 Canadian dollars. Here it's 554, so not that much different, but seat even further back than that, 617. So you get a rough idea. You're probably better going through, if you're going to have to buy a ticket through a secondary seller, it's better than going to Ticketmaster rather than going to one of these sites, unless they, Ticketmaster don't have the exact seat that you're after. So what have we learned from this? Well, one thing that we've learned is that on the day of the pre-sale, there are not that many seats available, and that is because Ticketmaster have already allocated a huge amount of seats to third-party sellers, and we know that because they've got the tickets on their sites on the day of the pre-sale with the actual seat number. So we know that that is happening before the tickets even go on sale to the public, or before we get a chance to buy the tickets at the pre-sale. And that could stop. Ticketmaster could hold out off giving tickets to third-party sellers until after the general sale. So whatever is left then goes to to companies like SeatGeek or StubHub or whatever. So that is one thing that could happen. Now, in the old days, it wasn't a free for all like it is now. You remember the Wings Fun Club. If you're a member of the Wings Fun Club, then when Paul went out on tour, you could get the members of the fan club got first dibs of the tickets before they went on general sale. Now, obviously that doesn't exist anymore, but is there another way that they could prioritise fans, loyal fans that are known, are known to have spent money on Paul McCartney, on records, merch, whatever it might be. Now, I don't know if this could be done or whether there's a way to do it, but if we look at how the Beatles.com did it for the mono box set, the first people that they went to were the loyalist customers, the people that had spent money on the Beatles.com sale. They were the ones who got the email saying you can go and buy the mono box if you click this link. Could they do something like this on PaulMcCartney.com? It could be that that they go for who has been a member the longest. It could be the people that have spent over a certain amount over a period of time. The easy stuff. This sort of stuff is quite easy for algorithms to work out, and those people get first dibs even before there's a pre-sale. Maybe that could be done, and you could buy tickets directly through PaulMcCartney.com. I don't know. It's not a perfect scenario because a lot of people buy Paul McCartney albums and stuff like that through Amazon. They buy them through Amazon because it's cheaper, because you don't have to pay postage if you've got Prime. Some prefer to go into record shops and actually physically buy a copy in a shop. Now, this doesn't make them any less of a loyal fan. It's just how they prefer to do it. So, it's not really that fair to discriminate against people that don't buy through PaulMcCartney.com, but it is one way that they could monitor it a little bit more closely. Admittedly, it would only be able to, they'd only be able to do it once on the next door, because once people knew, or the third-party sellers knew that's what they were doing, they could go on PaulMcCartney.com and just go and buy some gear, and that would put them in line for the next time Paul goes out on tour. But maybe the longevity of someone who has been buying stuff from PaulMcCartney.com could be a way to do it. I don't know if it's possible or not, or whether even PaulMcCartney.com would want that sort of responsibility. They'd rather outsource it to someone like Ticketmaster. So another thing that we've learned is that tickets for Paul McCartney concerts on this tour are not selling out like that, and I mean in just a matter of hours like they used to. You saw how many tickets were still left in Montreal. I checked other venues on the tour as well. They've all got tickets for sale at various prices and in various numbers as well, but they are still for sale, so they're not selling out. Now, is this because of the huge cost of these tickets? I think it probably is. Some of it will be to do with the degradation of his voice. We know that is an issue as well for a lot of people, and we've talked about it a squillion times, so we don't really need to talk about the voice again. But I will say that there's nothing wrong with his bass playing, there's nothing wrong with his guitar playing, there's nothing wrong with his piano playing, and the last two times that I've seen him, his his voice has been pretty good. It's, you know, it's not at the level it used to be. Of course it's not. You know, he's 83 years old, but it's been adequate. It's been adequate. And, you know, if you want to see him do those other things, the guitar playing, the bass playing, all that sort of stuff, then, you know, you should go if you can afford it. You know, I do think that these prices they've got to stop going up, and they've got to come down. Live music should be for everyone and not just for the elite few that can afford it. Now, I would love to hear from you if you are one of these people who did want to go to one of these shows, but you've been priced out of it. I'd like to know that, get an idea of what that impact is. I'd also love to hear from you if you have got a better idea of how these tickets could be distributed more fairly. I've given you an example, but I know it's not a perfect example. If you've got a better idea, you know, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, that is pretty much it from me. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye.